What's going on? It's the second season. It's been a while since I did this, but it was time to come back and come back with the vengeance. It's the Kevolution Season 2, the very first episode. Y'all know how I do. I like the guests to introduce themselves. So, who do we have? I'm going to try not to curse. That was one of the things that I got, was that I cursed way too much. So I'm going to try to, you're allowed to curse if you want. But I'm going to try not to. So, who do we have in the building today?
Well, my name is Penny Page. A lot of people know me because I was the first transgender person to run for office in Henrico. But I've also done a lot of work in rap and hip hop and the arts, and I'm still involved heavily in politics.
Okay, you still do both?
Yeah, well, I don't do as much in rap and hip hop now. I'm hoping to get back into it a little bit more. I have kind of a pet project. I've started making cassette tapes for people. You know, that's very useful in live music spaces around Richmond. It's an interesting thing. People tell me now that the cassette tapes sell better than CDs at shows because people...
The cassette tapes?
Yeah. I can't believe... Yeah, I think it's really interesting. And, you know, vinyl sells better because it's a collector's thing now. People aren't even going to listen to the physical. People are going to listen on their phones.
iTunes, and Spotify,
They're going to stream it. So people want to buy something just to have like a keepsake or even just to support the artist, just to have a way to pay them. I guess it feels weird to people to like just give somebody money. So it's like an exchange of something. I've made tapes for a few people just to help them have some kind of physical. And, you know, I've thought about booking shows again a little bit, but...
I hear that is not easy.
Yeah, well, I think that's what makes it important, especially in Richmond, where, you know, there's such historic inequity. And that's really why hip-hop and rap isn't doing as well as it could be. Because people who make rock music have made it really hard to book rap shows. But yeah, I'm passionate about it for that reason. For me, it's about building that equity back and balancing the scales.
So I know you had did a radio show. I was looking over your bio.
Yeah. And
it's funny because people really don't realize how much radio is still important.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. It's in a really interesting place as a format because it's beamed into everybody's cars. Like most people only listen to it in the car and for like 15 minutes at a time when they're going wherever they're going. But the station we were on, it was a public radio station in Richmond, WRIR. It has like a little cult following.
I am familiar with. I feel like Black Liquid.
Yeah, Black Liquid is on there. Black Lick is on there. Black was my mentor. He taught me how to do a radio show. And yeah, so like there's a weird number of people listening just to that station. There's people who like leave that on in their house all day, every day. But that's atypical. You know, other than that, mainly radio listenership is people who, you know, in their cars for 15 minutes. Yeah.
Did you like doing the show? Do you still do it?
I don't do it anymore. I really loved it.
Why did you stop?
Well, I stopped to run for office. It was just going to be too much.
How was that transition? Because that's one hell of a transition going from music into politics.
Yeah, it was. Honestly, the biggest thing was my social circle. You know, I made the best friends I'd had in my whole life through rap and hip hop. But they did not follow me into politics. And the people in politics are less fun to hang out with.
Don't even get me
started. So, yeah, it was for a while, it felt very isolating. But I've been kind of dipping my toes in the political world for a while, so it wasn't too weird to take the next step to run for office.
What made you go all in with it?
You know, rap was a big part of it. I had done some things, I'd done some things I was really proud of with police reform. I'd made some real progress on the local level. But doing rap and hip hop, you know, it was important to people because they they were kept from it by inequity, by prejudice, really. That's what held rap and hip hop back in Richmond and the region for so long. And it felt really great to see them empowered to make their music. But like the more I got to know those people making that music, I realized they have a lot bigger problems in their life than not being able to rap.
Yeah.
And, it made me feel like, I've had these small successes in police reform and policy and stuff like that. Like it showed me the power of like, I could do something by applying some pressure, and I really I needed to. It was kind of my responsibility, realizing, because it felt like nobody cared about these people who were so important to me. Yeah, it kind of just felt like it was necessitated.
When you started, because I'm sure politics is just a very funny thing.
Yeah.
Because it seems like you have to sacrifice so much of you into it.
Yeah.
When you made the transition over to politics, was it one of those things where you knew the journey was going to be what it was going to be? Or was it one of them things where at some point you thought, screw this, I'm not going to do it anymore? I'm cursing. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm trying to find like other alternative words, like.
That's one thing. When I moved from rap into politics, it was a real challenge to stop using profanity. I would say like weird stuff like these doo-doo heads.
Did you ever let one slip? Have you ever let one slip while you was?
Yeah, absolutely. When I get mad. But yeah. Politics, it is really thankless, but and it's a lot of hard work. But I have always been the kind of person, I've got to be doing something all the time. I got to be busy, and politics will give you that. Running for office is like a 24-hour, all day, every day job. And so for me, I kind of thrive in that. After the election was over, I kind of like got real antsy, like I need something to do. But yeah, it can mess up people's feelings. It's a tough thing to get into. Most of the people who run for office come from an extremely privileged background.
Rich.
Yes. So like, I don't have a ton of sympathy for how stressed out they are about it. But yeah, that's the problem for normal people like me and you to get into politics. It is a real feat. It's purposely inaccessible for normal folks.
I don't see how people do it. It just seems like it's too much stress. You have to sacrifice too much. You know you're gonna lose friends. So it just like, I would feel like something like that, jumping into that would be automatically a negative, and you would get halfway through and say, I'm not doing this anymore. Yeah,
no, you're right. The personal relationships are tough. Like we have a rule now. I don't post my family because. I've gotten death threats. I've had my personal information posted on the internet.
What are they mad about?
Oh, everything. I mean, that's the thing. That's the like Democrat, Republican, right, left thing is Republicans will really come at you. The far right conservative people. I think there's a problem with Democrats too, but maybe I haven't been on the other end of it enough.
No, we got them.
Yeah, I'm sure there's people who will come after you from the left too if you're far enough right. But all my policies. When you talk about criminal justice reform, people say that they take it to the level of like, oh, you want to release dangerous criminals in the street. That's the line we heard last year so much. Or when you talk about the equity for marginalized people, they think you're taking something away from rich people who are doing okay. Whatever it is, LGBTQ issues. I didn't get into politics for LGBTQ stuff. I keep getting kind of pulled into them, but when you advocate for those things, people say, "Oh, you're destroying family values. You're destroying our family."
Because they're so used to I don't want to say cliche, but they're used to what they think is the standard. So anything outside of that, to them, they see it as, oh, you're just...
Yeah.
That's why I would think you would have so much pressure on you. Like on a daily basis.
Yeah, you do. But it's a responsibility. It feels like as the platform grew, whether it was rap or politics or whatever, it just feels like more responsibility. Like if you don't use that to help people, then like what are we doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, as far as going back real quick into the music side of it, is there a way? And I know it's not the most easiest move to do, but is there a way that you can juggle both, or is it has to be like a seasonal thing where you got one section of the year where you do one, and then once this time of the year, the political season, you go into the other one, or do you still try to like juggle them both?
I'm hoping there's a way to juggle both, because I really miss booking shows. I really miss putting on shows. I like even just the hard work of like making it happen, like carrying sound equipment upstairs and getting the sound just right. But and just the reward of paying people for performing. There's so many messed up models of people having to pay to perform and
sell the tickets. And, oh my God, the tickets.
Yeah. But to answer your question, yeah, I hope there's a way to do both. Politics in Virginia, because we have elections every year. There's like a nonstop cycle. It goes right from our state legislature is in from January until March. And then that's right at the beginning of primary season. And then primary season leads right into general election. And then it all starts all over again. So if you're not careful, it's easy to like make a career out of it. You're just being it all the time, all year.
Would you mind that though? Given the right circumstance.
Yeah. If there were a reason, if there were an opportunity to do good things, then I would love it.
I think you should.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, their passion is in it when the season is there. But then once when the lights go off, the election is over, people start kind of turning back to who they was before the election.
Yeah.
I mean, you see that in the presidential. You know what? Don't get me.
Yeah.
Our choices are horrible.
Yeah. I think so many people feel that way too. They're right now, I just before I came here left an event. I'm also helping to organize around Gaza and Palestine right now. I just left a vigil for Aaron Bushnell, who self-immolated this past week. And at the vigil, they're telling everybody, when you go to vote for Marianne Williamson or don't vote at all in the Democratic primary. Marianne Williamson is not somebody they want to win the Democratic nomination. It's just they want to not vote for Joe Biden.
Yeah.
It's like they just feel like they want some way to protest.
But what do you do though? So like in this situation, when you have two candidates that clearly not too many people is fond of both of them.
Yeah. You
have the decision to either not vote or, like you said, you have your write-in. But most of the time, the write-ins aren't acknowledged. The write-ins go, they're put on the back burner. Yeah. Like, what is the solution to being stuck with the same two people every... There's got to be a way around it.
I'm so glad you asked. I think about this all the time. I think it's going to be hard to fix, but I think a big part of it has to do with the influence of money over politics. Because it is, I've helped a lot of people get started running for office. And I tell them, I meet some great people who want to run as independents, third-party candidates. And I tell them, you're not going to have a chance. The machine of the Democratic Party is so powerful that if you're... most people who want to run as independents and third party are like left-leaning, most of them. So I tell them, the Democratic Party, you don't understand how bad it is, their control over things, because, you can't do targeting without them. You would need $1 million to know, like the Democratic Party knows, like what doors to knock on, who to make phone calls to. And I guess I should say all this. I am a member of the Democratic Party. I say all this, because I think it's important for Democrats to acknowledge that we don't like every Democrat. I think that the diversity of ideas in the party is one of our strengths. Yeah. So everything I say critically of Democrats is with love and the hope that we'll improve and get there. But, It's it shouldn't be impossible to run as a third party or an independent. That's not, like, as much as I'm a Democrat, that is not the way the system was intended to work.
What do you say to the people who say that they're just not going to vote? Is that, do you, I mean, on paper it makes sense. You don't like either candidate, so you don't want to vote. But does that really even help anything sitting on your vote?
I really don't think it does. I think that, so there are two kinds of people I hear that from. I guess it's important to say. There's people who are checked out of politics, and like just don't really participate in general. And I think for the most part, the reason people check out is because it's not because they don't care about politics, it's because politics doesn't care about them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
that
I can
to go on a shirt, right?
Yeah. So, and I can understand that. Like, that's why my friends from rap didn't follow me into politics, is because they haven't seen what the government's ever done for them to help their lives. And I think that, you know, it's really tough to try to change that. And I think people think that I'm dumb for even trying, but I can understand why those people do it. There's also people who don't want to vote in protest, people who are really involved in politics, who, like you're saying, they just can't get behind either candidate. And I think that those people are making a mistake. I think that, you know, when I know so many people involved in activism, who've, you know, advocate for direct action, who believe in every other method other than our electoral politics, other than voting for as the main thing. And they all vote too, because they want to use every bit of their influence. They don't want to sacrifice the littlest bit of control they have over the world. You know, voting is a really quick, easy thing. It's not a burden to vote.
Depending on what time you go.
It's true. Yeah. I mean, that is true. Yeah. And Virginia, we're lucky now we have 45 days early voting. A lot of places, you're right. If you go on election day, it might be, yeah. That's if you go right at rush hour. I'm like, yeah. But yeah, I think that the idea that those people who are really invested, I think they're what they don't realize is they're giving up a little bit of their power. And yeah, I think that I think is a mistake. People who feel like they don't care about politics because politics don't care about them, I can understand where they're coming from, and we need to do better.
Do you think those people can be swayed into going back into appreciating voting?
Yeah, and you know, I think that's my main criticism of the Democrats is I think those people would be energized and turn out more if the Democrats were more progressive. I think that every time Democrats get more progressive, those people who feel like politics doesn't care about them, they're motivated to show up. Well, I think we saw that happen this past year in Virginia with abortion. I think that they knew that people cared about abortion. They talked about the right to abortion so much because they knew it would motivate people. That's progressive politics. But I think that now, unfortunately, a lot of our legislators who just got elected have made the mistake of interpreting that outcome as, you know, we have a mandate to act only on abortion, when, you know, really what people want is for them to act in a more progressive way in general.
Yeah. Why can't they get longer time?
Like, I feel what?
Like for example, you know how we have limits for how long you can be president.
Yeah.
But how come with these other positions, it almost seems like they can retire?
Yeah.
With being in that like job.
Yeah. Well, that is a great question, because I think incumbency is a big part of the problem. You know, once someone is elected, it's hard to unseat them. But I think that is a mechanism again of the two-party system, of the influence of money over politics. You know, when you have a politician who is buyable, your best strategy is to keep buying that politician. If they're doing things that benefit you.
Yeah. If they're giving certain people what they want, just keep them in there.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate, but as far as the Democrats, now you already know I'm not a fan of either one.
Yeah.
But if you had to pick somebody out the Democratic side who is not going to end up, who we already know is not going to be on the primaries,
Yeah.
who has the closest shot of even being able to get onto the ballot in a way that we can actually take it seriously, that they could very well be a president that's not Joe Biden?
So this year, it's really just too late. I think, yeah. Well, so there are actually, so this is a part of the process of running for office that isn't so familiar to a lot of people, but there are deadlines about how late you can jump in the race.
Ooh, see, now I didn't know that.
Yeah. So to run as a Democrat, it's too late. And nobody else can get in there. People could still run as independent candidates. But yeah, with the way the two-party system is, unless somebody who had more money than Jesus wanted to jump in there, I think it'd be tough for anybody.
I was hoping we was going to have a chance.
Yeah. Honestly, if I mean, not to wish death on anybody, but if Joe Biden passed away before November, I think that's the most likely situation in which there's going to be.
He has no, and I like him, but I just get concerned because of his age, and sometimes it just looks like his was it cognitive? So I just get concerned because then it's like, can he even do the job? And I mean, I know we got a vice president that's going to, do their part, but
well,
it just.
I have a friend who loves to say, we've had a president with dementia before, and they're regarded as one of our greatest presidents, Ronald Reagan.
He was good.
I mean, he depending on your politics. I'm not a fan of trickle down economics. He's a very popular president, Ronald Reagan. But yeah, so according to my friend, dementia may not be the mark of a bad presidency. But I mean, a lot of people agree with you. His age is a concern. Yeah, it's. I think that Donald Trump really has the same problem. I think that
it seemed like it came out of nowhere this year, because it seemed like when he ran last time, he at least seemed like he was not coming unglued. But like now it just seems like it's worse in a way that it's almost like neck and neck. Yeah,
well, and that's a good point too, because I think Joe Biden's cognitive abilities are kind of skewed in the public eye because of his speech impediment, which, I think that there's a case to be made that he probably is sharper than people think because of that, which is a little sad to think about. I wouldn't say it's the most ableist thing that's ever happened, but if someone is, totally. I mean, if we're gonna imagine like similar situations, like if someone were like in a wheelchair or something running for president, would we say, well, how are they gonna do the job if they're handicapped?
That's a good point.
But yeah, anyway, I feel like I strayed away from what you were asking me there.
No, I'm intrigued by this stuff only because, like, I don't know a whole lot about politics. Only because the disadvantage that I have is I look at politics when I see I don't want to say what do you call it when people make these crazy takes and analogy? It's a word for it. Smart take, hot takes. That's what it is. I'll see the hot takes on like the clips, and that's all I can process. And the stuff that goes on behind the scenes, the deeper stuff, I get confused by it. So it's hard for me to to really grasp the nature of what's going on. Yeah,
well, I mean, I think there's a lot of people who don't want you to. There are a lot of people who don't want any of us to totally grasp what's going on. I think that's part of why things have gotten like they are.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Does Trump have a chance?
Yeah, I think he does. I think he.
I was afraid you was gonna say that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very close. Which, honestly, people say every election cycle that this is the most important election of our lives. I don't say that every election cycle. I actually think this election coming up is very important, but I think one thing that people miss as far as what's really the most important elections in recent history are the elections that happen right before the census. Because whoever is in office after the census is done decides how our maps are redrawn for our districts for voting. So, this is how gerrymandering happens. This is how you can have a place where more Democrats live, but Republicans win because the map is just drawn in a way that each precinct is majority Republican. And so I tend to think those are the most important elections. And sometimes I regret a little bit that every single cycle we say this is the most important election, because that's how the system, that's a part of how the system got to be fixed so much.
Do you like the Electoral College?
No.
I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it. Well, I gave an analogy that the Electoral College is like when you're playing a 2-player game against somebody and you're losing and you just shut the game off because you know you're going to lose.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like to me. Why do they keep it?
There have been efforts to change it. I think again, it comes down to money. I think that, there is a reason, like, we need something to balance the scales a little bit between less populated and more populated areas. Mm-hmm. But it's so out of whack right now. It just doesn't make sense. There's no reason. It just doesn't work.
That's why I don't understand why they keep it. I mean, like, yeah. I know the money thing is, the corrupt part of it is the money. But I would have just assumed there would be more people who think like we do, that this is not the way to do it. Yeah. That they'll put their foot down and say, no, we're not going to do that this time.
Yeah. I mean, I'm at the point personally where I think we kind of need a new constitution.
Yeah. We've never changed. I don't even think we've never changed. We've had the same one. We can amend it. Yeah. But we just choose not to.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's supposed to be a living document that we can amend and change, but it's gotten, our system of politics has changed so much from the time the Constitution was written. Mm-hmm. There were 13 states, 13 colonies at the time. Now there's 50. And population is very different, very spread out very differently. They didn't anticipate it to be used in this situation. That's why it's so hard to amend it. Other countries get new constitutions every once in a while.
I think Australia, they do theirs every certain amount of years. Because what's the guy that what is his name? He does the joke on gun control all the time. Jim Jeffries. And he was talking about how he doesn't understand why it seems like America is stuck in this Constitution, and it's almost like the mentality that we almost think like we can't change it. Yeah. Like we're not allowed to change it, but they change theirs like every decade or so or something like that. I don't know what the problem is. I don't understand why it's got to be such a big thing. I don't get it. That's why I don't like politics. I get upset too quick. Yeah. Because it's like common sense stuff that we should be doing that we don't do.
Yeah. And like it's not just about a system that works well or not. It's about, our lives depend on this. Mm-hmm. The government, I think some people believe that there's better solutions in the private sector or through nonprofits, charities, or whatever ways for people to get help. But the government's the biggest charity in the country, biggest charity in the world, almost. I think we're the biggest economy still. I'm not as savvy in foreign relations as I am when local politics. But
so if and knock on wood, if Trump wins.
Yeah.
What should we expect?
Oh, gosh. Well, it's anybody's guess, because I don't think that he is really committed to any particular policy he talks about. Like with abortion over the summer, he was saying, he thinks an abortion ban is too much and people don't like it and people shouldn't try to do that. Just a few weeks ago, he said he's going to support a national abortion ban. But he just says in the moment whatever he thinks is going to be a good thing to say in the moment. So we don't know what he's going to do. But I think regardless, honestly, whether Donald Trump wins or loses, I think we should expect a violent conflict after this election.
Yeah, rally. Was the rally today?
Yes, the rally was today. I thought about going because I want to see like what the thing is that is so.
It was here. It was in Virginia?
Richmond. It was in Richmond. Yeah, the Greater Richmond.
Yeah.
There used to be. There used to be a Great Richmond Convention Center, and then the Greater Richmond Convention Center opened across the street, and they went out of business. That's a joke. Anyway, so
we need a greater Coliseum.
Yeah, wait until they have the greatest Richmond Convention Center. Yeah, they're gonna.
And the air is coming.
Yeah.
All I know is that worst case. Look, you know what we gonna do the night of election? We would have a bottle, and I think we took shots every time it started looking like Trump was ahead, and we would take some. So we gonna have to do the same thing. But honestly, I'm not a fan of either. But if I have to go with somebody, I gotta go with Biden.
Yeah,
I have to.
So many people feel like that. I mean, yeah, I feel like I'm gonna ultimately end up voting for Biden. Not just because of my loyalty to the Democratic Party, but yeah, that if we have to make that choice, it feels like that's the obvious way to go.
Have you ever had a Trump supporter actually give a legitimate reason as to why they're voting for him?
Yes. I think I actually think I kind of understand it because the way that he talks about things is more frank than it's like people feel like he's being real with them because he uses language that feels like he's not bullshitting. He doesn't speak in like political talk. So I kind of understand the appeal of that because like I think that what people who support him miss is that he's not saying things that are necessarily true. He's not saying things that he even believes. But I can understand, when politics is a world where, people always say one thing and do another.
Yeah.
I can understand why people would hear someone who sounds like they're being authentic and say, yeah, that's the person I like.
Even with all the stuff that has happened up to now, they'll still...
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. Well, and so there's also the fact, like, and I don't agree with this, but I can understand it too. There's people, I think political party affiliation is the strongest motivating factor for why people will choose their candidate. More than, what anybody's ideas are. There are people who are just lifelong Democrats, lifelong Republicans. They're going to vote for any Republican no matter what.
Yeah.
I think Donald Trump tested that more than any candidate has in a long time because there were a lot of people who said, I've been a lifelong Republican, but I'll never vote for him.
And they ended up doing it.
Well, there are a lot of people who didn't. My grandparents, a great example. They've been Republicans their whole lives. And yeah, they were just like, we just can't do it. Can't vote for Donald Trump.
It was too much.
Yeah, it's too much. And there are a lot of people like that. But yeah, a lot of people will still vote for any Republican. A lot of people will still vote for any Democrat too.
I just want to for once see somebody in the middle get it.
Yeah.
Like somebody like right down. Kennedy, I think he's running for Democrat though. This is how much I don't know about politics. I just know he's got the weird voice, the real raspy voice. I kind of had taken a liking to him, but then in the back of my mind, it's like he's not going to end up in the primaries.
Yeah,
there's no way.
Oh yeah, he's already dropped out. I think he's trying to run as an independent, but yeah,
that's an uphill battle.
Yeah. I don't see the path. I mean, honestly, there's a part of me that thinks, I don't want there to be a violent conflict after this election. I don't want people to get hurt, but part of me thinks that whatever happens could be so big that it maybe transforms the system a little bit.
That's a good point.
I think that's the most likely way that we're going to get out of our current system that we have at the moment. Unfortunately, I don't think anybody's got a better solution to stop the influence of money in politics, the two-party system, all that at the moment. But yeah, I don't know how likely that is. I mean, we just don't know what will happen after. I think there's going to be violence. We don't know how it's going to go.
I'm gonna be in my house when they doing counting the votes.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be right in here because I just feel like it. And you don't want it to happen, but I mean, like you said, that may be something that invokes some type of change because I think people are tired. I would have never expect us to have the same two candidates that we had last election. Would have never thought. It's just.
Yeah, people call it the rematch nobody wanted.
That's exactly what it is. That is exactly what it is. And we're gonna watch the when they have the debates, and that's gonna be
I don't think they're gonna debate.
You don't think so?
I think they're not. Yeah, I could be wrong, but I think people have seen that before. I think people know like what's gonna be like. I think that nobody is undecided about like how they feel about these two people, so I don't think they're going to debate. And I think that may be the first time in a century that they have a debate. Yeah,
but it would make for some good entertainment.
Yeah,
because the last one.
Yeah.
You have to admit that last one was amazing.
Yeah.
When Biden and Trump went at it last time, that was.
I watched all of it. Yeah. And there have been some people's debates that I have not watched.
I would say that's why I don't start paying attention to politics, and I should be well more versed in it, but I don't pay attention to it until election time.
Yeah.
And the problem is that a lot of us, including myself, think that a lot of the rules and the regulations and the bills and stuff is under the discretion of the president.
True.
And because all this time I thought he was the guy that made those decisions.
Yeah. No, I mean, we could operate just fine without a president. Mm-hmm. We could have like the local government model where there's someone appointed, or maybe the chief legislature, like our lawmakers vote on who they like best to represent, like to be the head administrative person. But yeah, I don't see that changing in the near future, unfortunately.
And then it becomes a question of if there's somebody brave enough to put that into action, are they going to even do it?
Yeah.
So,
well, I think though, what's more to me, because I mean we can only speculate about where politics is going to go. I think what's more exciting to me this moment is where rap in Richmond is going to go. We're in a really exciting period. You have the growth of like what hip hop heads think of as the rap scene, with Noah O's festival coming up.
That's another name.
Yeah.
That's another name. Charged Up Entertainment.
Yeah, he's for the first time doing a multi-day festival. Radio B is taking RVA Rap. RVA Rap Elite for a long time has been like, it's become like a forum for people who rap. It's become a place where people who rap go to have community. And he's starting to shift it more into a place for the audience to come and watch rap, which I think is going to be very important. Because, the way the whole show is set up in the past has been very much about let's bring people who make this art together. And now it's turning into something where we're showing that art to people in Richmond.
When is he doing that? Is a date set in stone yet, or is he still?
Oh, it's like a slow progression. He's like been taking little steps for the past year or two, I've noticed, to make it less about just bringing rappers together and make it more about bringing the rap to the people of Richmond. And the other thing that I think is really exciting is, there's a lot, for a long time, rap has existed in a lot of pockets in Richmond. You have like the kind of nerdier, like blurred scene of kids who like are popular with like VCU students, and then you have like the rage music scene of like UV Scuddy, and like other cities don't have like a rage music scene like Richmond did for the past few years. And then you have like the old head stuff, and then you have like the gritty city lane. Yeah.
These names, like,
yeah. They're starting to get mixed up a little bit more though, which I think is what it needs. I think it like all these different little cliques need to get to know each other a little more. It's starting to happen organically.
Every time I hear Gritty City, I think about Fan Ran.
Yeah, love Fan
Ran.
Ran.
Production skills is insane.
Yeah, I love to hear him rap too. He doesn't rap like a lot. But he has a particular style. But yeah, his beats, iconic. Like you kind of know it when you hear it. There's so few people in Richmond, like him and Obliv, a few other producers. Like you hear it and be like, oh yeah, that's like, it sounds like Fan Ran.
That whole, like, I've always been a fan of Gritty City, like always, because the way that their sound is, you can tell that it's paying homage to old school hip hop.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they kind of have their own like sound built into it.
Yeah.
So it's like it's almost like they're not just trying to sound like hip hop. They're like honoring it in their own way. And I can't hear anybody else that can do it that way.
Yeah, and I think it's so interesting that is in large part a product of their environment, because it's so hard to do rap shows in Richmond, and it was for so long. Now it's changing now, but they had to become popular by performing at like punk rock shows. So they developed a unique style by interacting with a different kind of an audience. Like it is very much based in like old school stuff, but like there's an attitude to it that I think that they gained from the proximity to the culture of like punk rock music, because which is like, it's interesting how they had to do that because there was just not an audience for rap that was easily tapped into at the time, because people would stifle rap shows like they did, and but yeah, it morphed them into like a specific thing. I don't know if there could be a Gritty City like equivalent in another city because of the conditions we had here.
I wish they'd bring back Strange Matter.
Yeah, it's never gonna happen because that.
Why not?
Yeah, well, that building, so they had to close it because it needs an updated sprinkler system that would cost like more than the building is worth. It's so out of code. Like people tried to look at buying it again, turning it into a venue. What's going to happen probably is VCU is going to buy it and turn it into just some VCU thing, or some investor is going to buy it and rip it down and turn it into housing.
There's so many memories in that place. The arcade machines all the way in the back. It was just, I didn't know that's why it got shut down. I thought it was shut down because they just couldn't get a lot of shows in there.
Oh no, financially it was doing great. It was just it had fallen too out of code. I mean, you have like generations of like scrappy musicians running it. I don't know how it falls out of code so much, but like it was so many different things that I think it changed hands so much because of the issues with it being up to code. I don't know that for a fact, but
when they was having issues with the code, were they still running shows out of there, or did they have to like at some point stop them?
Yeah, that's why it stopped.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean that was an institution. I mean, I just hope there's something to fill the gap. Now, as much as it makes me sad, now we have one venue dedicated to hip hop and R&B. RVA Boombox, which we have not had in a long time. We haven't had one. It's wild we haven't had one venue that just books that kind of music in Richmond. for so long. It's been places like the Camel is a great music venue. There's so many other ones.
Spot. Yep, the Camel.
But like all these great music venues, they'll have 1 or 2 days on the calendar for rap. Everything else is bluegrass, folk, rock.
Of course, you love bluegrass.
Yeah, and
wasn't it another place on down Shockoe Bottom that they shut it down, and I feel like they turned it into something. They turned it into something else right beside the Cobblestone. It was like a 2-story place down Shockoe Bottom.
You're making me think.
I think it was called the Top at one point, but then
yeah. That it was a few things because I think that it used to be Alley Cats.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. And I think there's something in there now, and they have like shows every once in a while, but they're just not trying to do that. But yeah, that's history right there.
That is showing my age, right?
Yeah.
Because
I remember. Well, so yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. I started coming to Richmond to play shows in high school. I used to be in bands and stuff, and we'd drive up to Richmond to play at what was at that time called the Nancy Ray Gun. That's what Strange Matter was called, like 2 or 3 things before it was Strange Matter.
Nancy Ray Gun.
I
just got I just got it. Like,
yeah,
Ray Gun. But I always thought it was Strange Matter the whole time.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it was back in like 80s or early 90s. It was Twisters, or the Back Door. It was called for a minute. Like it's been a venue for a long time. It's had a lot of different names. Bruce Springsteen played there at one point, apparently, when he was like starting out. Like it's famous. It's been an institution.
So you would think a place like that has that much culture that people would do their very best to make sure that it stays open.
Yeah. Gosh, you'd hope.
Well, I ain't gonna give up on it.
Yeah.
I might give somebody, if you are watching, if you got some money and want to invest in it,
yeah.
do it. Because right now nobody's in it. It's just sitting there.
It's just vacant.
Oh, jeez.
Waiting for somebody to buy it.
Well, how can people get a hold of you? Because I'm sure that you kind of go around and you tell people about what you do. And then, I mean, there's a lot of people that definitely need to know what goes on as far as the election season, because there's a whole lot of layers to what goes on instead of it just being the presidential side of it. But how can people get in contact with you?
The best way is my Instagram, at pennypage4u with the number 4 and the letter U. That's where I keep up most everything. I'm gonna
put it on the screen, y'all, so y'all can see.
I got that same handle on Twitter, but I'm not really on Twitter. I'm only on Twitter so I can see people who send me threats and put my personal information out there. That's where they like to do that.
That's crazy. They putting out your personal information though.
Yeah.
Like, wow, what's the payoff?
It's try to intimidate me. They do that to try to make people stop, doing. But if you keep pushing the message that you're pushing, they should know at that point. Okay, threatening is not going to work. Yeah.
So I don't understand. Why even waste?
I don't know. There's a certain point where you wonder, I don't think that they're actually ever going to do anything. I think it's just talk that lives on the internet. But there's a point where you start to wonder if they keep doing this because they want somebody to actually try to do something to you. I don't know. I don't think that's real, but.
That is crazy. You ever got scared? Like, had there ever been a time where you thought, holy shit, this person really may actually do something?
I'd never been afraid of that for myself. What it makes me feel bad when members of my family feel bad about it, but I've never been afraid of that. I kind of and anytime it's gotten close, I've felt like if somebody did actually do something to me, it would just draw more attention to what I'm trying to do.
That's true. They're inadvertently advertising.
Yeah.
They're giving you all the publicity.
It's like Obi-Wan Kenobi said, if you strike me down, I'll become more powerful than you can imagine.
That's another thing that needs to go on a shirt.
That is.
What was the first one? Politics care about me. No.
It's not that. It's not that people don't care about politics. Politics don't care about people. Yeah.
has to go on a shirt. That has to go on a shirt. Well, look, I appreciate you for coming by. You had a long drive.
It wasn't that bad. I drive to Lynchburg at least once a month because of helping out the people organizing down there. Mm-hmm. I'm from there originally, so that's like 2.5 hours away from me.
So I'm assuming it took you 64 to 295.
It took me pretty much 64 to 360.
360.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That long road.
Yeah. And people, I like the classic Richmond problem of like people driving 10 below the speed limit in both lanes, so you can't get around them. Yeah. Yeah.
See,
what are we doing? That's what I'm like. What are we doing?
Yeah. Trailer on the back. There was a truck with a trailer on the back, and then it was a slow van in this lane.
Yeah.
And I couldn't.
You should have pushed that button like on Speed Racer got that button on the Mach 5.
Oh yeah.
When he pushes it, it springs him.
Oh.
Yeah, but
I don't have that.
But this is what people don't know. The button wasn't intended to make him jump. It was intended to raise the car up so they can do work underneath the car. He just uses it for that so it can make the car hop up. So it's the movie. Have you seen Speed Racer, the movie?
No.
It is the biggest. What is it when the lights flash and it causes?
The epilepsy, the seizures. It
is the biggest seizure-inducing thing I've ever seen in my life.
You reminded me of Wacky Races. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it had all the Hanna-Barbera characters on there.
All doing all racing for some reason. There was also they kept trying to do that. There was also like Yogi Bear's Ark. I
don't remember that one.
He had like a Noah's Ark that flew through the sky of like Wally Gator was on it and Snagglepuss, and because they were all like cartoon animals, but they're it's like
why does Hanna-Barbera do that? Hanna-Barbera they take
trying to make a cinematic universe every time.
They had the Laugh Olympics.
Yeah.
It was something else. The Laugh Olympics. It was the Wacky Races.
Yeah.
I feel like it was one more, but I can't remember. But they always juggled their characters like that on the same show.
Yeah.
And I never understood why, but
they were trying to do the Marvel thing. But they were just they were ahead of their time with it.
What they need to do is they need to make a movie for the Centurions. Wait, I think Centurions was Hanna-Barbera.
With the Centurions, I don't even know what that is.
There was these 3 guys that had like these exosuits, and one of them can fly. One of them was underwater, and another guy was like land.
Oh yeah, I see this. That looks cool, actually.
They need to make that a movie, but like I said, I appreciate you for coming out.
Yeah, I appreciate you inviting me. Honestly, I love to be on any platform that people give space to rap and hip hop. It's so important to me. I think that people don't understand it's important to our culture regionally here, and I don't think people understand the importance of it to politics. And so I appreciate what you're doing, and thank you for having me.
Do you have any material out?
Do I?
Yeah.
Like rap?
Yeah.
No.
I just assume since you know the promo and I just assume you kind of dabbled in it a little bit.
I just want to help other people. And in politics and in rap, I want to help other people to do what they want to do.
I just knew you had that single or that album out.
I mean, if people really want to dig back in the annals of history, they might find something, but I don't do that.
You're not hiding it, are you?
I'm not. I'm not. I was never trying to. There was a brief period where I rapped a little bit, but it was really just to. It was really just to keep the show going. When we would always end our shows with a cipher. We would do ciphers on the radio show, and when it seemed like everybody else in the room needed a minute to think or whatever, or had run out of freestyles, then I'd rap for a brief period to let the rest of the group reset.
Completely off the.
Yeah.
I can't do that. That's one thing that I can't.
I can't do it well, but I would do it. I would do it for the love of everybody else. I would embarrass myself. I was not good at it, but I would.
I'm too busy thinking of the word that's supposed to rhyme next, and it's just.
Don't listen to him. He's being humble.
No, I cannot freestyle.
Oh, freestyle.
Yes.
Okay.
I can.
I wasn't paying attention.
I cannot freestyle. I've seen people do it, and it's just like I feel like Liquid can do it.
Oh, he can do it forever.
Yeah, he can do it. And when he does it in a way, like with some people, when you hear them freestyle, you can tell that they're losing it.
Yeah.
But like with him, it's like he can consistently do it in a way that it doesn't sound like he's about to not be able to come up with words or anything. He can just do it like so fluently. Yeah. And then I listen to him and I'm just like, what is this? He gonna he gonna lose it at some point.
No, he could do it forever. He could just talk like that all the time if he wanted to. That's a practice skill. He's been doing it for decades.
Effortlessly. Shout out to
but that's a muscle though. Like I think anybody, if there's one thing I learned about it, it's that anybody can learn. Because while I was never great at it, I realized that if I flexed that muscle, it did get better. And I feel like I've watched a lot of people in rap, whether it's writing or freestyling. And the more you flex that muscle, the better you get at it. That's anything though. Practice makes perfect.
I will never try to freestyle. It will be a bloodbath.
I can't freestyle.
It would be a bloodbath. Now, if
you rap too?
No, I don't even rap.
You said that like well, I wouldn't freestyle, but
but I do appreciate you for coming out.
Yeah.
Feel free to come back. Like this is how it typically happens. Is typically so. If I have somebody on the show for the first time, I'm very, I try to be very kind of like chill about it. But typically, we'll have liquor or a bowl somewhere, and we just. But for the people that come the first time, I don't know whether or not that's something that they do. I don't know if they're drinkers or smokers. So I'm just kind of like, all right, first time. I don't want to, because I don't know. So, yeah. But you got to come back and you drink.
I don't drink or smoke.
I don't
You're straight edge.
Yeah, I used to. Man. I mean, and that's the thing, being just doing live music, no matter what it is, being around it so much. I got to the point where I realized I'm just drinking because I'm in a place where people drink. Like I'm not drinking because I want to drink. Like it becomes like a habit more than like something you're doing to enjoy yourself. And that feels like I just lost the taste for it, lost the appetite for it. It wasn't that I had I wouldn't say that I had like a problem like that, but it's just like, it's like too much ice cream. You don't want ice cream anymore.
I think that's where I'm at now.
Yeah.
Whenever you have something like, I don't like that.
Yeah, it stopped appealing to me.
That hurts though. I just thought everybody drank. I thought everybody drank the liquor.
Yeah. Whatever, that's the thing. Whatever it is about, for you, I think we all tend to think like everybody else is just like me. If you drink, you kind of think, oh, everybody has a drink. Yeah.
Well, at any rate, you are always free to come back. I'm sure we got to have you back after the elections.
Yeah.
We got to talk about the results of what we got to talk about the results of what's fucking happened.
I should say shout out before I I should shout out the Henrico NAACP just made me their housing chair. Okay. I should shout out the he, she, Z, and we. Just asked me to join their board of directors. Partnership for Smarter Growth asked me to join their board of directors. This is just new stuff, so I ought to show my appreciation to them. Just appreciate having new work to do in those organizations. Hoping that we can accomplish something meaningful in all those spaces.
Cool deal.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you for coming by. It's the Kevolution, y'all. Y'all tune in. This is going to be everywhere. Y'all better share the shit out of this because I'm telling you, elections is important.
Yeah.
All the information that you got is important. Vote. Vote, 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 vote. Even if you don't like who you voting for, vote. It's the Kevolution. Until next time, y'all be easy.